Hey guys, a little story about a little encounter that I had a few days ago. It was the day after Christmas. My wife and I were going up north for a little vacation. And if you don't know, Michigan is chock full of lakes. You can all but throw a stone from one lake to the next. And as we were traveling along, my wife was driving at the time, and I was on the passenger side, and we were coming upon a lake up and that was going to be on the right side. And the road went right along the edge of the lake for a little bit before it turned away. And when we approached the lake, I realized there was a man sitting in a kayak, like several yards out in the lake. Now, this is the day after Christmas, and it's been a little warm in Michigan, so the lake was not frozen over like it very likely could be. But there he was, red checkered hunting jacket, furry cap with ear flaps down. And the kayak oar was just across his lap, and he was sitting perfectly still there in the middle of the lake. And I noticed he was perfectly still because there wasn't so much as a ripple in the water around that kayak. Just a man sitting all by himself in a lake the day after Christmas. And for some reason, it struck me powerfully, and I couldn't get it out of my head. And I wondered what was going on with that. And then a day or two later, it struck me. I had been reading some of the Instagram posts from my esteemed fellow worker in the men's self-development arena, Steve Maeda. He does very, very good work with divorced dads especially, and with men who have difficult custody battles over their children. And he had written a set of really strong and poignant posts about dads who were not able to see their children at Christmas time. And I had watched a number of these, and like I say, I thought they were quite powerful. And that was in the back of my mind. And so I think what had caught me was that Steve had been talking about the loneliness of these fathers who are unable to see their children at Christmas, contrasted with this one man who voluntarily went out and was sitting in a kayak perfectly still in the middle of a lake in northern Michigan. And the difference in it really just kind of struck me. And it got me thinking about what is the difference between loneliness and solitude. And loneliness is usually a negative emotion. It's characterized, we think of it as a negative emotion. We don't want to be lonely. People who are lonely, you are usually sad for, and a feeling of isolation or a lack of connection with other people. And loneliness can lead, even further into sadness or emptiness, depression, and anxiety. So loneliness is something we typically want to watch out for. Moreover, loneliness is usually not a chosen state. No, it's usually unwanted. Most people do not deliberately choose to be lonely. And someone feeling lonely very often craves social interaction and relationship with other people. Whereas on the other hand, solitude is a state of being alone, but it's not inherently negative. There's a difference. It's not like loneliness. It can be a positive experience when someone enjoys being by himself or in his own company and finding peace and quietude. I have no idea why this man was sitting in the middle of the lake, there on the day after Christmas, but he had clearly deliberately chosen to do that. Packed the kayak in the back of his pickup, drove to the lake and launched himself out and sat there very happily. And so solitude is very often a deliberate choice to spend time alone, for whatever reason. I don't know why the guy was out there, but clearly he had a reason to be there. And, but it's a time alone when maybe we could do some self-reflection or rest or relaxation, or maybe it's just a time to enjoy personal freedom. Okay. And people very often choose solitude for its positive benefits for that reason. Okay, a good chance to recharge yourself. And so there may be a lesson. And there very often in men's work we'll talk about monk mode as a time when men will withdraw socially from other people, or may drop out of the dating market for a little while, or may separate himself for a period of time from his friends and sort of drop like a stone in deep water in order to do some personal work and some interior work before re-engaging with the rest of the world. And those are times of voluntary solitude. And so it may be that some of us stand in need of some of that sometimes. But solitude, is very different from loneliness. If you're lonely, let's find something to do about that. And maybe if you're overengaged and too busy, maybe the cure might be to spend a little more time alone by yourself and see if you can reap some of the benefits of that. Any rate, strange reflections that come about just from driving by and seeing a man sitting in the middle of a lake in the day after Christmas in northern Michigan. I watched him for several seconds as we drove by. He just sat perfectly still there in that kayak and not a ripple in the water around him or anything. I hope he was well, and I hope you're well too. So that's all I got for you today. A random thought, but there it is.